Hi, welcome to the fifth and final installment in our video series on discernment of spirits. Once again, my name is Father Brian Christopher. I'm coming to you from the Jesuit community, and it's nice to be here with you. I hope you've learned some things about discernment from the previous 4 videos. In this video, we want to change it up a little bit. We want to talk about discernment and decision-making, right? So discernment and decision-making usually go hand in hand. And the other dimension that I want to add to this video is talking a bit about how you go about using discernment in a group. It's one thing if I'm trying to make a decision for myself, but when you're together with a group, how do you do discernment together as a group? So I want to suggest a model that we Jesuits have been using now for some years. Actually goes back to the beginning of our order, but only in recent years have we started to kind of put some words to it. And we typically call it the 3 conversation model. And here's how it goes. You begin with whatever the subject matter is at hand. And everybody gathers together and you begin with some prayer. And hopefully people have taken some time before they gather together to think about whatever the subject matter is. And they come together and you discuss it. And here's how it works. You're going to do the discussion in 3 parts, 3 rounds, we're going to call them. And in the first round, what happens is that you go around the circle, one person at a time, right? And every person is going to just take a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, and they're going to share whatever their thought is, whatever their reflection is, whatever their prayerful, considered reflection is on the topic at hand. And as they do that, as they go around, the rule is that everybody speaks their piece, but you don't comment on what anybody else says. Instead, as you're going around, your task is to listen very closely to what everybody's saying. So you're not reacting to what people say. So you don't say, well, I'm going to disagree with what Ian said there a few minutes ago. No, don't do that. Whatever your prayer was, whatever your prayerful reflection was before you showed up to the circle, share that. Yeah. So we're not commenting on what people say. Instead, we're listening. We're listening openly. And what are we listening for? We're not just listening to what people say, but we're listening to how they say it. Because human beings, when we communicate, only about 20% of what we communicate is verbal. Everything else we communicate is nonverbal. It's through our gestures. It's through the tone in our voice. It's through our facial expressions. So there's a lot that gets communicated nonverbally. And so that's also what we want to listen to. We want to listen to the emotional content underneath what people are saying. Okay, so that's the first round. Everybody goes around and everybody speaks their piece. And while you're speaking your piece, everyone else is listening. Okay, now you take a little break after that first round. Everybody goes off. And here are the instructions in that before you come back for the second round. You're going to reflect on not the matter at hand. Instead, you're going to reflect on what did I hear in that first round? And you're going to ask yourself, as we went around that circle sharing with one another, did I hear anything that moved me? Anything that stirred up emotion in me? Maybe an emotion that feels good like joy or happiness or excitement, or maybe something somebody said really made me kind of angry. Yeah? So that's the first thing I want to ask myself. The second thing I want to ask myself, as we went around the circle, did I hear any common themes? Were there any common threads? Were there people who were saying very similar things? I want to notice that too. And the third thing that I want to notice as I reflect on round 1, I want to try to notice, were there things that were said in the group or moments in the conversation where you could feel the energy in the group change? One of the metaphors we use is, was there anything said that generated light or heat in the group, right? So light is where it maybe generates some excitement in the group, whereas heat might be a little bit of conflict or tension. Neither one it's not good or bad, right? So we're not making a judgment on any of that. We're just observing. That's it. Judgment-free, observing. So you're going to do that reflection, and then the group is going to come back. The group is going to come back as a whole, and again, you're going to go around the group one by one, and everybody's going to share what they heard in that previous conversation, right? And that's it. You're no longer talking about whatever the original subject was. You're just talking about what you heard. And it's not, and this is really important, because some people are real talkers. And what they're going to try to do is in that second round, they're going to remember, oh, I forgot to say this in the first round. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to complete my thought or to add another thought. No. That's not what we're doing. We're reflecting on what we heard in the first round. Okay, now, after that second go round, then people go off again, and they reflect a little bit on what they heard in that second round. And then in the third round, you come back together, and it's much less structured. The third round is a little bit more of a free-for-all. But the point here in that third round is dialogue, not debate. It's not about getting in arguments with one another or necessarily disagreeing with one another. It's about a free-for-all. What did we hear, and how is based on what we've heard in those first two rounds, how is the Spirit moving us? That's the focus of the third round, right? Okay, so let me give you I guess another brief example here. So, let's say that we're trying to make a decision of whatever kind. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to begin with a question, right? What should we do about X? Let's say that in the Jesuit community, we're asking the question, should we buy another car? Okay, there's a question. Good, concrete question with a very specific answer. But let's say that we decide we want to discern this. We want to know, not just do we want to buy a car, but is that where Christ is leading us? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is before we ever come together to try to answer that question, everybody's going to kind of maybe do their own research. Everybody's going to do a little bit of reflection on their own. What would a car cost? Do we really need another car? Maybe we'll just make Ian walk. We'll buy him a bike instead. We will reflect on that. And then maybe we will reflect on, you know what? We're Jesuits. We're religious. We take a vow of poverty. Is this really what we should be doing? And so everybody's doing their own prayer, their own reflection, their own research. And then we come together to have our discernment. And in round one, everybody goes around and speaks their piece. And as people, just a reminder, as people are going around speaking their piece, I'm not trying to think of, okay, what am I going to say when it's my turn? No, I'm just trying to listen. I'm just trying to stay focused on what everyone is saying. And I'm going to trust when it's my turn, the Holy Spirit's going to give me the words I need. Okay, so we go around the room. After the first round, we take a break. And we all go off by ourselves and remember what we're reflecting on. Were there any comments made in that conversation that stirred up emotion in me? Okay, all right. Was there a common thread? Was there a common theme? Like as you listened to the room, did it seem like more people were in favor of buying that new car or not? And then you want to ask the question, well, were there any moments in the course of that first round that generated light and heat? Were there moments when you kind of felt like the whole room was feeling excited? Or were there moments when you felt like, there's some tension here, there's some conflict growing here? Okay, you just notice those. Second round, we come back together, and without drawing any conclusions, without anybody venturing any more opinions about whether we should buy a car, we're going to share kind of what our experience was of that first round. And again, we're going to go around and do that. Now, in the third round, when we gather together again, after having reflected a little bit about what we heard in rounds 1 and 2, now, rather than just having an open, free-for-all discussion, we might want to focus this third round a little bit more, right? We might say, okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a proposal. Maybe I, as the person facilitating the conversation, or anybody in the group could do this. Let's make a proposal. And first, maybe what we'll do is we're going to take 5 minutes, and we're just going to kind of see where people are at, and then we're going to make a proposal. The proposal is this. You know what? We think it's a good idea to buy a car, but we don't have the money now, so maybe we need to wait till next year to do it. We know we need a car at some point. It's not super urgent. We can wait a year. So I'm going to put that proposal out there. And I'm just going to set it there, and we're going to go around, and I'm going to let people just react to it. We're just going to have an open discussion about it, right? And some people are going to say, yes, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Some people are going to say, no, that's a terrible idea. Let's not do that. And here's where you want to go, right? So you want to move towards consensus. And consensus, despite what many people say, does not mean that everybody walks away happy. The question with consensus is, would people feel relatively peaceful about this decision? I'm not asking if you'd be happy with it, but could you be peaceful with this decision? And again, maybe you go around the room and kind of check in with people. And some people would say, I feel great about this decision, yes. Other people might say, I'm not happy about this decision. I think we need the car right now. I think it is urgent. So I have some reservations, but I would be okay if we waited, okay? And then you might find other people who say, no, this is a terrible idea, just a terrible idea. And when you find somebody who says, no, this is just a terrible idea, then you go to them and you say, okay, you know what? What would make this proposal better? And you let them fix the proposal. And then you do it again, right? You do it again. Put out the new proposal and kind of see where people are at. And the more you do that, again, with some skillful facilitation, you kind of get to that place where, okay, yeah, we come to an answer to our question. We may not all be happy about this answer, but we're peaceful about it. We can live with it. And we can continue to sit at the dinner table and not throw food at each other as a result of this decision. So, just some thoughts on that. Again, that's a lot of information, and there's a lot of skills involved in doing that kind of a process. So if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to the Jesuit community. We're happy to help you with any kind of facilitation or coaching with regards to that. But the most important thing is that practice makes perfect. Discernment of spirits is an art. It's not a recipe. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. I hope you enjoyed this series. I enjoyed sharing with you some thoughts. I'm sure you have some thoughts of your own. I'm sure there were plenty of things that I left out. Best of luck to you. Thank you.